All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Summertime Rendering, episode 9.
All right.
A video.
Yeah, let's
got
get to
the
see
phone.
it. The day before she died.
That's right. Yeah, and the last episode was, well, decided to cut off right before the video started playing. So
let's get that video. Let's get that info, Ushio. And Ushio, the potential time-looping traveler who's setting some things up specifically so that Shinpei will be able to do things properly. Yeah.
Which would be very helpful because now we don't have the duo team of badasses working with us because we're working with a shadow. So.
Right. So, yeah, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Shadow, yeah. Yeah. They're working together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Is there a story behind that?
Oh. Fuck.
Is she gonna start to remember?
Well, that's the thing, is that I don't think she's remembering any of it. I think
Because
this is
from
memories being given into the future. Because it's a message that she's gonna then be like, oh, yeah, that moment. Because she doesn't remember before anything before being in the water. Yeah.
Right, even though this video was taken in this timeline.
Well,
because otherwise it wouldn't be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But it's that this Shadow Ushio might not be approaching things from a, causal perspective here.
Wait. No. Maybe because if shadows can copy other people's memories, that means they have some control over their own memories, right? So maybe Ushio was like, hey, edit your memories to make it so that you don't remember this stuff, Yeah,
it's possible. But there'd have to be a reason as to why having less info is better.
Right.
Which, we'll probably get into that here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. But yeah, they're probably going to get into the idea that they've iterated past this point and they're choosing to end it here so that they can pass things on to Shinpei.
Right.
Whoa. Right, so this is human Shiori here.
Right.
Nice. She helped run the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that would have been Shiori's shadow, probably copying her.
Well, no, because this is when she sees Ushio.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Right. Oh, shit. Who is that just walked past?
And that's why, because that was probably the shadow already. And so it's like, okay, I gotta kill Ushio.
Mm-hmm. And there's the family.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's the big day. Baka!
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Wait. So even here, the shadow doesn't know that it's a shadow.
Uh-huh. Right. Oh, now we know So's last name. Oh.
Oh.
Fuck.
Oh no.
That.
Do not need, do not want. Wait. 3 at a time. That.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, she's screaming it at her. Yeah. Kick it.
Oh.
Whoa.
Okay.
Right. Fight like a shadow. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That's wild. Yep. Wow.
Gotcha. Retakes the picture, so okay.
Whoa. Ah.
Okay.
That's where that, like, little remnants of being a shadow comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Whoa. Yeah.
All right.
This is the backstory episode.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. No, it's a memory, y'all. Yeah, come on.
俺たちは録画を見てるだけ。あいつらに触ったり話しかけたりはできない。このままやとしおりちゃんの近くにおるやんで。考えがあんねん。これになれる？
Oh.
よっと。
Holy shit.
なあなあミオ。どうやったらミオみたいに上手に泳げるの？
Oh.
That's devious.
あかりがうんこ出たって。
あれよ。
Ah, gotta split up, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Like, that's so fast, so it's that she has to be
Yep.
a shadow already.
Right. And this is how she's baiting them out.
No, because she doesn't remember what happened. Yeah. If she didn't notice it, then right. Yeah.
Cool. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Something grabbed her.
All right.
Okay. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. Huh? She was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, hang on.
shit.
That's actually terrifying, though. How do you fight a shadow in the water? Because their shadow would be so far down below.
Oh shit.
その子に決めて
Fuck.
動けあとちょっとで水面やのにしおりちゃんが死んでまう
So then she helps, saves the shadow, but then of course then it strangles Ushio, yeah.
何をポケットしてる
Fuck.
So did the real Shiori get saved?
Well, it might have just been too late already at this point. And she's already drowned, you know?
Yeah.
待て待てって言うとるやろ
Fuck.
Shit.
The fight continues. Shit.
不良品
Oh.
近づいてきてる運のいいやつ
So the shadow. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So
And
both
because she was
Ushios were
close to
beaten.
being destroyed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and in the dark water, you don't see the shadow.
Or you don't, like, you just think it's like a. You just can't tell.
後ろ
Oh shit.
私はしおりちゃんを守れやんかった新平と一緒に影をやっつける24日の夏祭りから
Yeah, there's the marks, yeah.
それでちょっと明かり返せるかな
Yeah.
返せるよ。もう殺した。
Yeah, we've done a bit already.
なんでそんな冷静やねん。でも、俺がやるべきやった。新平。
Wow, we just went through a lot there.
何をやるべきやったって見つけた
おい、牛尾。これは映像なんやな。
What?
触れたり話しかけたりできやんって。なんかやばいぞ。
Wait.
終わりせよ、牛尾。
あれからずいぶん探したぞ
Oh fuck!
もう逃がさん
Oh fuck!
Oh shit. Is this the new checkpoint?
新平その腕
It's gonna be marked, isn't it? Yeah.
Fuck, man.
あいつに掴まれた跡が。
Wow. Wow. We went through a bunch
That's,
of just new things rather rapidly. Like,
And the thing that I'm surprised we never got in that video was any mention of Ushio time traveling. Like there were some things that could have like, alluded to it, been alluding to it, but
I think it's that human Ushio couldn't tell Shadow Ushio that. Like, that's info that she's gone through many iterations of all this
Sure.
and stuff. So,
right.
it's she can't just tell that, she has to be very careful with what information gets spread, But yeah.
Right, and that's why Shadow Ushio doesn't understand why she did it.
Right.
Because it's no. I knew that this was going to happen, and that's why I set things up with you
Exactly.
like this. Yeah.
Yeah. I've spent many times getting it exactly like this,
Right.
All right, backstory.
Okay.
Cool. We now have all the
Yeah.
details.
Uh-huh.
We know what happened on the canon timeline, the main
Right.
route. Everything led
yet-
to a very crazy situation where both Ushios were beaten by Shiori, albeit potentially a setup by human Ushio.
Right, because she wanted, Yeah, that's oh man.
There's a bunch of things that we can suppose from this, but we also got a lot of theories just kind of we now know where those things kind of line up.
Kind of, right? Because it's one of those things where we know the details of the events that happened in this timeline.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But a lot of the things that are the big questions that
is why.
Well, right, are things that don't involve necessarily this timeline.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is that that's what I'm saying. It's very simple. We know what happened on this timeline. We don't know why necessarily everything happened on this timeline. But that's a very exciting thing because now we know, okay, cool. Both of them were in the water. Both Shioris were in the water. Shadow Shiori took a tentacle out, grabbed human Shiori, dragged her underneath the water to kill her. Very classic, easy to write off way that a kid dies, and no one's gonna think twice about it.
And it wasn't the thing that I thought it was baiting it to be of Shiori had already been killed, and this was the shadow baiting someone out from the group to in a way that it could kill them without anything being suspicious. But
yeah, so now we're in a situation where if Shadow Ushio is here. And she's got now all the memories from this. She's now basically been granted access to the abilities of a shadow in a way that she now knows she can do because she's essentially reliving the memories of the thing that she did experience in this timeline.
Right.
But because of the way in which she arrived at the beach, there was some disconnect there that's probably due to some time loopy weird stuff here because of what shadows can and can't do is being a little bit stretched wider.
Right. There were some things that happened that seem to contradict some things that we've had set up about shadows and also are just I'm curious what the explanation is for it. But so because we saw 3 Ushios at a point at the same time.
Yeah, there's no rule as to how many copies there can be.
Well, there was the rule that was established of you can't copy somebody who's already been copied.
Well, but if they were copying
the copy,
if they were copying the human, both the human and the shadow were there. If the human got copied again by another shadow,
no. But in like episode 2 or whatever it was, when it was Mio and the policeman outside the house, they were like, no, you can't copy him. He's already been like claimed.
Yeah,
right?
but we don't know what that means. That's claim.
Sure,
claim is very different from.
Okay, that's true. And even if it is we already have a shadow of him. It could be no, don't do that, numbnut. Somebody already's called dibs.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
like a hard rule.
Right.
Thing.
We don't know if that's a hard power rule versus this is just a bad thing to
right.
do.
It's bad etiquette. Like Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, the big twist of this episode is the fact that Heine was inside the form of Shiori's shadow and reached out and grabbed Shinpei in the moment that they were examining the memory, which ties kind of neatly back into the idea that Heine is someone that has had the looping ability at some point.
Right.
And even if Heine has part of it,
at the very least, some ability to observe atemporally.
Yeah. Which is something that we've seen Ushio just do in her ability to pass on the ability at all to Shinpei.
Yes.
So there's some fourth dimensional shenanigans that so far Heine and Ushio have been able to do.
Right.
There's a lot of evidence also to support the idea that Ushio's person, the human Ushio, has not only got the ability at this point in the past, but is specifically used it to go beyond this because we see like Ushio doing shenanigans and stuff and or just showing
to
up
go this way.
To set up to go this way.
Right.
But we haven't had those explanations fully addressed here.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like for now, we're having things saved until later.
And given how badly this timeline would have seemed to have gone with that, of like, oh, you go, I'll keep her here, I'll sacrifice myself so that you can live. She lives, but Shiori still dies.
Correct.
So, the sacrifice is like, wait, hang on. Why did she decide to do that? Why didn't they stop it before it got to this point? Like, what was important about the drowning actually happening beyond just maybe Ushio dying and that bringing Shinpei back? Like, yeah.
I think it has to do with the fact that in order for Shinpei to come here, Ushio needed to die.
Okay.
He wouldn't have come back for any other reason.
Sure.
And that's the really sad thing about this, is that in order for Ushio to die, you need to have an Ushio still around, which means, Shadow Ushio was part of Looper Ushio's, like, she needed to max that social link, that confidant, get that set up to where it's the, okay, cool, you'll work with me on this.
Right.
There we go. Now you've got a mission. Go do it. And we also have, because of the memory aspect of things with Shadows, the possibility that Shadow Ushio has more memories to unlock.
Yes,
from
that is
here that she doesn't have
definite
access
possibility
to at this moment.
Yep. Yeah.
But now if
because that was one of the other things that was interesting. The Shadow showed up in Ushio's house, and Ushio was pretending to be surprised, probably because she was looping at that point, so she'd know about the whole situation and all that stuff, right? But the Shadow was acting on some kind of agency, and yet she wasn't actually trying to hurt Ushio, right? So she wasn't doing...
because she was already the traitor at this point. She had been disconnected from the missives of the Shadows.
But that I think is the confirmation that there is another layer of memories, because that's the motivation for why she had already been basically reached and recruited and made an ally.
Sure. Yeah.
Even though...
So they both... Oh, wait, you know what
Even though
that's
she
wild?
hadn't met her in this timeline?
Wait. You know what that means then? Both of them are pretending to not know each other.
Well, okay.
Like, both of them are reaching this point like, what are you doing here? Oh!
Right. But if that's the case, would that actually mean that this Shadow Ushio has been through different timelines? Because...
Well, potentially, yeah.
No, but I think we can say that almost with certainty.
Okay.
Because if that was their first meeting, there would be no point in wiping Shadow Ushio's memories and then having them meet again in the same timeline, right? Like, that'd be, I mean, maybe, but that'd be kind of odd.
The reason for that, I would say, is that there was some threat to one or both of them that made things get scary enough to that scale, so that if someone kind of did, like if a Shadow kind of gets access to Ushio, either one at any point, and is like, I need to look at your memories,
Sure, and it's important that in order for Ushio to make sure that the Shadow behaves the way she wants, she needs to play along with the fact of this is our first meeting in this timeline. Sure,
right,
okay, so there is a way that it could still be this timeline original and all that stuff. But with the whole thing of the becoming the necklace, which I love, by the way, because it was wait a minute, wouldn't she have had this necklace when...
Yeah.
Oh, okay, odd. Yeah, all right, that's how they planned around that. But would there be a way that a Shadow could piggyback into a time loop?
I would say no.
I wouldn't think so.
I would say no.
I wouldn't think so.
No. The only way I would say yes is if they're both loopers.
Sure. But if
and that's kind of what Shinpei thought Shadow Ushio did here, based on the way that the loop happened.
Right.
She came with me, that's why she has the memories of this. And it's maybe, but we still don't have
that's a good point.
We still don't have the full explanation as to why that happened.
Right.
You just came from the festival, right? And she's like, yeah. So that could be it, but then that would mean that Shadow Ushio has or had the ability at some point, and thus was the one that passed it on to Shinpei at the beginning.
Is it possible?
So then
that
means that Shadow Ushio was given the ability by human Ushio, and then Shadow Ushio passes it at the end of their dealio.
Right, after it resets so that she's still in this... Or no, before it resets, right? So then she doesn't have the memories of the other, of that iteration or any of the stuff that would have happened past the start point. Right. And then, okay, I like that. And that's why she doesn't know too much about stuff. I like it. Yeah. Because what I was going to say is there a possibility that, I lost it. Okay. No, but I like that idea.
But it's basically there's been a lineage of sorts of things being passed along so that they can get Shinpei to a specific point. And that's a point that one or both Ushios have seen. I would assume only one of them.
Right.
And it's one that either was passed along as this is what it looks like Shadow Ushio, you take him there. Shadow Ushio then goes the furthest distance, sees what that is, but realizes they can't do it. Shinpei needs to then come around. They then work with Shinpei to make it happen.
Right.
They get hyper fixated on the details of these next upcoming days. And then we get a win. The ability is fully passed along to see if it could work then with Shinpei. Because Shadow Ushio would have gone through versions of this getting pretty close, but it's I can't do this, I'm a shadow. I probably have there's probably a point where Heine will take Shadow Ushio away.
And I think that's kind of what's happening here, because realistically, could it be that Ushio created a Shadow Shiori by bringing up the memory of her? Maybe. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it's that this is an element where Heine basically embedded herself or assumed direct control in some way of Ushio's shadow, right? And that's how this is happening, right? Because it's Ushio's, essentially this illusion is just...
It's not a part of Shiori necessarily. It's
Ushio's shadow making a bunch of illusions, right? Like using itself to take on the appearance of her memories.
It's an illusion that has an actual effect on Shinpei here. So it's coming through the fact that Ushio is not fully disconnected from Mother.
Right. Yeah. And so this is one of the things that I also really love from the standpoint of stakes, in addition to just the twist factor, is it's the you can no longer let things get to the 24th with the festival where she's summoned, because that's all sorts of bad. Yeah. But at the same time, somehow Heine is manifesting in some limited fashion without the festival having happened yet.
Yes.
Which is fucky.
Right, which means a couple things. One, Heine has some limited fourth dimensional abilities. But also, Heine being fed at the festival is not something that makes Heine actually incorporate fully. It's we're going to build you up. We're going to bring you back to full ability.
Sure. Right. It's not something where she exists because of this. It's the either we bring you into this plane from wherever your beyond time, home is, or you're somewhere and you're weak and we're going to
reconstitute you.
Yeah. Okay.
And it could be that if it's I need you to be summoned into this plane and stuff like that, now Heine has the ability to move and groove within this, because at some point in the future we hit the bad end at least once.
Sure,
and we don't know the limits of the time ability,
right? And
because
so
they did kind of give we as humans are using it to loop upon death, at least through what Shinpei's done here, but the eye just gives you the ability to manipulate time. And until the show starts to give harder limitations of what Heine can do.
Right, because
we could do theoretically anything.
Right, because the eye, it can do more than what we have so far. But also, it's just one of the two eyes, which the other one Heine has. Right. And if I would guess,
make a bet, basically.
No, the thing is, I'm not sure. So if Heine is observing outside of time, the problem is that she
can't interact necessarily.
She can't interact because otherwise she would fuck this whole situation before it's even happened, and the show would never happen, right? Right. But that seems to be what she's doing here, in that because of
what Ushio's kind of been doing. In a lot of ways.
Yes, but just to take this to the end of it.
Yeah.
Because she observed the 24th happening, and maybe, and she exists outside of time or something like that, then she does something and she implants something so that way in Ushio's shadow there's going to be some fragment of her that at this point can
start to
attack or something like that.
Start to rebuild or
right. But at the same time,
the conflict,
and maybe the only reason it's happening here is because the memories were being restored, so that that unlocked that part of Heine that had been like sleeper agent, before then.
Yeah.
But that still feels like it would make the rest of the story fall apart, because if that had happened, she would have been able to do other things too.
We don't know enough, I think, to kind of go too far into that, but I see what you're saying. The the shifting of focus here I would like to do, if you will, is focusing on a little bit of the emotions of Ushio kind of going through with this.
Okay.
Because I feel like there's a lot where we see her kind of just going through the motions of this whole chaotic situation in a very like
I've done this before kind of a thing.
Well, just she seemed really chill about it.
Yeah.
But that was that was even more so with the shadow. And if the shadow has very little like, you know,
like knowledge of stuff in this timeline.
Right, then it's so how are you so calm about this if you're actually just me? So it's either one of them is a better actor than the other because, they're closer to the original, so they're intentionally
one has had more experience maybe.
Sure, one has had more experience, but that was weird because the shadow was the one that was the most calm in a lot of the tense situations and stuff. So there was that as well. But when the other shadow at the Hishigata clinic, which we've got to talk about a little bit here, attacks, it's an unformed shadow, which is weird because for the most part, shadows that are they're not human looking in that regard, except this kind of has a humanoid form and stuff. They don't really copy for the sense of then turning themselves into that person. They copy, at least with Mio and stuff, it's to generate a shadow.
Right, it's their reproduction.
Right, they're making another. So in this case, the fact that it's taking Ushio here, it makes me curious as to...
When did it get created?
Well, why was it here?
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they definitely, with the whole this place is abandoned and all that stuff, it definitely, and given that we had the bit on the previous bad end where you had the doctor, who I believe this was the old Hishigata clinic, right?
No, he was at the one by the water, not this one.
No, right, but I believe that's
it was the same thing. It was the Hishigata clinic.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so this is the old one. The shadow that he had in the chair that was docile or restrained or whatever was probably, connected to the fact that there's a shadow here at this old location. Yeah.
Right, but I'm just wondering, why did the shadow copy Ushio, someone who could potentially have ridiculous memories and stuff like that as well, and then, just kind of go a bit berserk, I guess. It's something where I would love to know if this is just a random shadow that's here and it's just to drive the story a little bit, or if it's what if...
Was this a shadow that was, made by humans at the previous Hishigata clinic experimentation?
No, potentially something to set up a confrontation with Shadow Ushio to then use her abilities and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's just...
Yeah.
It didn't act like other shadows.
Well, and there were a few things this episode where it's okay, you have different shadows that are doing things, but certain shadows aren't doing those other things when Ushio does the whole thing with the hair, right?
Yeah.
It's super effective. But this shadow had also copied Ushio, so it also has long hair theoretically and could do the exact same thing, right?
But that's the point, is that
but it didn't.
But it didn't. And I think that's because on two levels here, Shadow Ushio here is a little bit more experienced without even necessarily knowing it.
Okay.
But for reasons. But then two, this shadow is not it's not a typical shadow in that regard either.
Right.
It kind of panic runs away once it kind of, has Shadow Ushio fight back. It's just oh shit, I'm gonna die.
Well, and different moment from the episode, but I feel like it's relevant given this kind of conversation. Something that really confused me is when there was the whole situation with saving Shiori in the water. Mm-hmm. How did the Shiori Shadow catch up to Ushio Shadow? Shiori's unconscious. Why didn't Shadow Ushio just use shadow powers to go up to the surface? Why did it use regular swimming? Right? That feels odd.
Yeah, again, we have the potential for tons of looping stuff here of where things need to go a certain way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's hard to jump on wait, is this a plot hole? What's going
Right,
on
or is
here?
it a meticulously done, plan?
Or it's the thing of where I'm still also Ushio. I need to be Ushio here. I can't just shift back and forth constantly into that, I believe myself to be Ushio.
But we dealt with that before, so she does know that she's a shadow by now.
No, of course she knows, but it's the okay, cool. So what? She bursts out of the water and has black,
well, it just
tentacles and stuff.
gets up to the surface,
A little bit faster.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's those micro things where it's the character made a mistake.
Because it's the the making the mistake is not what feels weird. It's the making the mistake and then there being consequences for that mistake, right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah. The writing on this show is not necessarily perfect until we know the end. Right,
exactly.
We can't really say with
It's
any
a Schrodinger's writing. Yeah.
We don't know if it's a plot hole until we know whether
Open
the
the
time
box,
travel stuff is fully detailed and stuff like that.
Yep. But now we've got a mark on Shinpei from Heine. Heine's not here right now, but
we don't know if other people can see this. This will be really interesting. We don't know, I believe, if So can see it. I think he can. Right. No, we don't see So looking at it. Now, there's a lot of things that Shinpei has been able to see that other people can't.
Right.
So yeah, it just shows that, and he goes, "That's where it grabbed me." So we could literally in the next episode have So be like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Yep, that could totally happen. But also, we don't know what this mark does. Is it like an anchor point so that way Heine can like find Shinpei again, so that she can,
Who knows?
anchor herself into this world, so she maybe doesn't need the festival. Like all sorts of things could happen here. And
Yeah.
okay.
And then also the point where human Ushio said to Shadow Ushio and Shinpei through the recording that we're both us, and kind of had the emotional connection there to set up everything. I think that was the final point where Shadow Ushio
Remembers?
realized basically like, oh, cool, like I can do this. I think there's a weird storyline that I'm not sure if they're gonna go down here, but it's that the happy ending for this story is that Ushio gets to basically live on through her shadow,
Right.
and thus everybody else has their precious blonde
Sister back, their daughter
chaos,
back, their friend back, yeah.
wild child back,
Right.
And it's but at some point the ability was passed on to Shinpei, and that feels like the kind of thing where can Ushio really have a happy ending,
I think she can.
Well, right, but because can she really?
Like, I mean, if you talk about like real Ushio, even though they're both Ushio and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, the start point for the time loop is past the point where Ushio died. So,
well, no,
it's not looking too great.
Well,
in that
obviously,
regard,
Ushio's
right?
dead, but again, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the shadow. Can the shadow actually have?
I think so, because
happy
they mentioned that the time limit for the shadows is if the original is still around. But if the original goes away, then the shadow can go on forever.
Yeah, still, I think there's a reason that Shadow Ushio passed the ability on to Shinpei.
Oh, gotcha. Because of timelines.
Yeah. Memories that we don't have yet because of the way in which Shadow Ushio has been placed into this timeline.
Okay. Here's my theory.
Yeah.
Given the funkiness with the memories for Shadow Ushio and all the stuff that we talked about in this discussion with regards to that and the time looping and the different, who met who first and when in this timeline or another timeline, all that stuff, I think that what it is that Ushio or Shadow Ushio got wise to the fact that Heine can fuck around. And so it's we can't have a shadow be the person to have the time looping power.
Yep.
Because Heine will have some influence over...
At some point in the future.
Right, at some point in the future.
Yep.
And so we need to make sure that those two things are separate.
Right.
And that's where it doesn't have to be Shadow Ushio can't have a happy ending. It can be she just can't be the one to fix this. Right?
And why was the ability passed on then at the boat?
Yeah, I know, right?
See,
and that's
because
that's
I
what
think,
still feels weird to me about the circumstances for the final, like death of real Ushio.
Well, that's
right?
my point, is that I think that is when it has to be that everything basically ends.
Right. And yet we don't know why, right? It's
Right.
not
No,
the
clearly.
is that where it needs to end, it's the why is that where it needs to end.
Right. And thus I'm saying, though, regardless of why it is, can, in all the ones that you can think of in your head, how can Shadow Ushio have a happy ending from this then? Is it that she gets to save Mio? You know, she gets to carry on the wish of her human self that accepted her as she was.
No, I think there's a very real chance that Shadow Ushio survives
And gets through all of this just
gets
fine.
through all of this.
Okay.
And that could
be
even,
the stakes then. That
that
can be
could-
the big stakes then.
yes, that absolutely could be
I
sort of like
put
a end of Steins Gate kind of a deal of how do we save the one person?
Right. I think that is an extremely unlikely thing. I think we're setting up the stakes that is the thing that kind of looms in the background, but it's the Steins Gate kind of thing where you get to the end and you realize,
Oh,
wait,
fuck.
we
Yeah.
have to give up you in order to actually make
Right.
this work.
Which then makes it the ultimate final hurdle.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
I think we're saving that in the background and having
Exactly.
these backstory moments where Shadow Ushio cries here. I think that's potentially a thing where it's even with my memories and stuff like that, this is the moment that defined me as the hero of this story that's going to set up Shinpei to be the other hero of the story.
There's a few things that this moment does. It does that. It also makes sure that it answers the question for the audience in case there was some part of the audience doubt or whatever that made it so that they couldn't be emotionally attached to Ushio because she's a shadow and she's a fake. It's like no. She is still Ushio.
She is
right?
Ushio, yeah.
Make that very abundantly clear, right?
Right.
And then why would you potentially want the audience to care about a character is so that then you can have them suffer and have the audience feel things as a result.
Right.
And Ushio
have the threat of being ripped away again be a
right, because Ushio was
saint.
literally established as the tragic death character that makes all of this stuff
So
happen.
this anime is having its cake and fucking eating it by having Ushio be in the story twice in order for potentially double dipping on the tragedy and the pain of the loss again, even if it's something where at the last possible second they pull everything all together and actually,
figure out how to get past the 1% divergence barrier and all that stuff.
Right. So cool stuff, exciting stuff. Heine, you're terrifying. I love your design. The fact that we've now seen you up close and personal here was also really fun without any glowy, effects and things like that.
The one thing I will say as a that slight bit of nervousness for me is I hope the show didn't jump the shark by having Heine appear in this terrifying way, because when I think about the things that I was scared about in the show up until this point, none of them were on the level of, oh God, Heine's here, right?
Yeah.
Like now I'm like, what? Like how is that going to that will need to be so limited in regards to how Heine can do that, so that it doesn't like take over the rest of the show.
So I think that Heine was a looper that got copied by Shadows.
Right, she's gonna have some kind of Ymir backstory.
Well, right, but where did the looping ability come from?
Right.
I don't think Heine is the original looper.
She fell down a tree and there was a worm.
I think she's the current mother of most of the shadows that exist right now, and it's that something happened long time ago.
Sure.
And that's why the shrine exists. That's why there's this whole history of this island specifically being special.
Yeah, she originally took the eyes from the god of the sea or whatever that came ashore, and
exactly. And there's going to be that side of things where I think the scale of this story can get escalated again.
And if they wanted to, because one of the other things that I thought was kind of odd is, why did you waifu the eldritch scary god, right?
Well, it's because we're going to interact with them on a human one-on-one personal level with Shinpei.
Yes, and so
that's exactly why.
Having a chill conversation with Cthulhu is that'd be kind of odd, right?
Right.
But it could also be because it's the no. We want you to eventually sympathize with this character, so that way we can save them as the ultimate going above and beyond from the actual Cthulhu or whatever that she got the eyes from or whatever.
Right.
Something like that.
No, I think you're 100% right. And the fact that we're showing Heine close this early means then that's going to happen in the next 6 to 10 episodes, I would say.
Sure. Yeah. That you're right. That's telling from the standpoint of pacing of the show, that's not going to be something that's saved until the very, very end. It's like we're going to
go through and start
setting
a
that up a
process
long
here
time before.
in the same way that, again, remember, don't forget this, that suit
Yes.
them
Hizuru,
yes, and
called out
for Heine
in the past.
at a moment when they were a kid.
Yep.
And this all happened.
Yep.
That's something that we still don't know why. So Heine might not even be that old.
Yeah.
Heine might, if anything, be...
No, what are you talking about? From her character design, obviously she's 5,000 years old.
Well, yeah. But the Heine might not even be a very old generation of things, in that we might not have that many actual loopers in this story.
Right, in the same way that the ancestor or whatever of the priest guy was the one who named the shadow, disease or whatever.
Sickness, yeah.
That means that at the very least, from the standpoint of humans knowing about it, it hasn't
not
been
more
around
than 100
for
years.
It hasn't been around for a super long time.
I would say
right?
it's at least 30 to 40 years old, but it's not more than...
It's not some primordial ooze from the cosmos,
Well, it could have originated from that.
Right.
But it's
it laid low for a long time.
Yeah, human beings haven't, interacted with the effects of it until very recently.
Right. Unless Heine was one from way back when and then they went dormant or something.
Possibly.
Possibly.
But yeah, this show gets into some wacky territory, and it's really fun. So now, let's get the next episode. And y'all, if you want to see that next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out my Persona 5 Roll Let's Play on Twitch. If any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
Next time.